What's up, fam? Ryan Milton from Team Flex. You're on my show I do every Wednesday for you called First Callouts, where we talk about everything competition related. As we come to an end of this 2020 season, we're going to dive into talking about what you do after your competition, what you do, after the whole effect has gone through. You finished this prep, you did your show. What's next? Moving into your improvement season, moving into your reverse diet. What do you do with training? What do you do with nutrition? How do you optimize these? And why does any of that matter for what you're going to end up bringing to the 2021, it's crazy to even say that, stage. So that's what we're talking about today, and this video will be very, very useful to all you competitors out there, any division, no matter what you're doing. That's what we're talking about, and really we're talking about how to master this post-competition. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this first. You have to understand the first factor, which is what you've been doing up until this moment. All right, so you've been on prep, you've probably been doing some cardio, you've definitely been doing some dieting, you've definitely been training hard, doing high intensity protocols, supersets, drop sets, heavy weights, all these different things. You might be in the gym, multiple hours a day going into your prep, and no matter what ended up happening come show day, well, that prep becomes, done. That's the peak of your prep, right? That last final day, that glorious moment you step on the stage, and then, the next glorious moment after that where you go into your cheat meals and you eat all the things you couldn't eat, and everybody does this just the way it is. But what do you do the next day, right? What do you do that next few days, that next week? Well, that's really where I think it becomes the most critical point of time for a competitor, okay? So I'm going to tell you what I have competitors do most of the time. For one, though, I'm going to back that up. Let me just tell you what I do right away. First thing I do is I give them a little bit of a break. I say, obviously, hey, you know what? Show happened Saturday probably for most. 2020 shows have been a little crazy, so it might have been a different day. But I always give them, that next day totally free. Totally off, just relax. You might have been up late. Show days are hectic. Show days are exhausting. Show days are tiring. Show days will get you. So after your show, I give you a little break. I'm not going to come harass you. I'm not going to come tell you, hey, you got to get on your macros today and do all that. I don't do that. What I do, though, is I will check in with my athletes that next day and say, hey, how you feeling? How you doing today? What'd you eat last night? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good time? How's everything going over there? And then I get a kind of feel for where they're at. I say, all right, well, now we have to set some new goals. Whether we're going into improvement season where we're literally going to go just make improvements, that's one thing. Or maybe we're looking at, hey, it's time to do another show. There's another show in 12 weeks. There's another show in 8 weeks. There's another show in 6 months we want to do. Either way, I'm talking with my athletes and I'm saying, all right, well, what are we feeling right now? What do you want to do next? Okay, are we making an attempt at this pro card? Or are we going to go do another show? Or are we going to take a year off and build? What are we doing? All right, and a lot of times, competitors already have in their mind what they're feeling and what they want to be doing. All right, and so that's a good time to set some goals. That'd be the number one thing I say you got to do right after a show. Set some new goals. At least have something propelling you forward no matter what. Even if that's an improvement season, well, your goals then become that improvement. And obviously, if you're doing a competition, your goals are going to be that competition. So you want to make sure you always have goals, because what can happen very quickly, and why you guys have seen competitors, they rebound so much weight, they gain so much weight back, they get in a really bad spot, they gain 30 pounds of body fat in a few weeks after a show because they don't have that goal anymore, right? When you're on prep, it's very regimented, it's very structured, it's very strict in so many ways to say, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this because of this. And when you go into this off season, improvement season, where you're not on that prep, well, that can be a spot where now you really got to know, all right, I got to be able to set a new goal or I'm going to fall off, right? And that does happen. So if you don't prepare, you better be ready to not be able to stay on track post-competition. We're going to dive into just the rest of this in just a sec, all right? Come back with me right after this break.
1, 2, 3!
So goal setting, big, huge, massive, got to do it. That's where you start that talk. I start that talk the day after the show. I'm not really starting it before that because obviously, I want my athletes focused on their competition. But right after we hit that stage, we're talking goals. Next thing you really got to do, competitors, no matter who you are, what division, where you at, get your feedback, all right? Get your feedback from the judges. Go over to the judges if you have the chance, talk to them. Sometimes they allow for that. Otherwise, use the resources available to you to get that feedback. And you can, email them a lot of time. They'll tell you how to do it, okay? The promoters usually have this on their websites, etc., telling you how to get your feedback. You got to get your feedback because that can also help you really fine-tune what that goal actually is, right? I get feedback from the judges for my clients all the time. Every time we do a show, I'm getting that feedback from the judges because I want to talk specifically to judges, hear it, so I can put it in my brain and say, all right, here's where I need to put the training. Here's where I need to put that nutrition. Here's where I need to put these timelines for our next competition, our next goal, etc., right? And if you're doing, no matter what you're doing, if you're doing improvement season or you're going to another comp, well, you definitely should be applying the feedback from the judges, all right? And your feedback will always vary. I've done other videos talking about what feedback could be. Sometimes it's a little bit more muscle building here, a little bit of reduction here, a little body fat loss there, a little conditioning problem. A lot of times, though, I'll tell you what, it comes down to these days, posing, presentation. You can miss a pose on stage and it can cost you 10 placings. I'm serious. So there's all kinds of things that you can really apply, and that's going to affect your timeline as well, right? If you get some feedback that says, hey, you know what, it looks good, but we really need you to build a lot more upper body muscle. You need a lot more lower body muscle. You need a lot whatever. Well, muscle building takes time, ladies and gents. You can't just jump into another prep in 8 weeks and expect to build muscle because you're really not going to actually be able to do that in that short of time. So, versus if you get feedback that says really, hey, you know what, diet down a little bit more, tighten up and come into the show and you're going to be doing better. Or you just messed that pose up on stage tonight, but if you did better posing next show, you could be doing better. So there's all different things where that could make a timeline a lot shorter, right? It makes it very easy to map out your next game plan. So obviously right now we're sitting mid-December, we're talking about 2021 season. Well, what do you do as you come post the show? You start setting these goals and you say, all right, I want to do this. And then within a factor of that next week, you need to probably get yourself back on some form of a training plan. Now, when I talk with my athletes, this is another thing that I want you all to factor in as athletes out there, competitors watching, is anybody doing this. You do oftentimes benefit from a short break, okay? And what I mean by a short break is for most of my clients, they're taking, 3-4 days off after the show, and they may take up to a full week off. And a lot of this is done kind of strategically, me talking to them, seeing how they're feeling, seeing where they're at. If I know they had, a struggle prep, they had a hard time on prep, there's all these different things that made it harder and harder on them. Their body is tired. And no matter what, ladies and gentlemen, when you get out of a prep, you've been working your body hard, you've been dieting hard, you've been in a spot where it's good for a little recovery. So it's a good physical and mental reset to take a couple days off, up till like Wednesday, maybe through the week until a full week you've had off at that point, where then you're going to gear up for that following Monday and get yourself back on track. And what I often suggest is, hey, during that time, if you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. Don't follow a regimented program, right? Don't go do your strict program for your next phase, anything like that. Just go have a good time, have fun. You can be active in other ways too. Go take a walk, get outside, play some sports or something. I don't know what people like to do. Whatever you like to do, hike, I don't know. But, getting out and being active, but doing it in a way that's not so strict, just the bodybuilding. Because again, what we're talking about is a physical benefit from this, obviously, letting your body rest, letting your body recover, but also a mental one, right? If you're always in the front of the action, doing prep mode, your brain can burn out, your body can burn out. Any of these burnouts lead to you not getting on stage. So it's better to prevent the burnouts and be ahead of them and say, all right, we just did a long prep. You might be feeling good, you might be feeling great, but we're not starting back tomorrow. I want you to take a little break. And what I always tell people to do with their nutrition too is, hey, don't track, be intuitive. Don't go crazy. Don't, eat 10 pizzas a day, but don't be absurd either. Enjoy some of the foods you haven't had on prep. Be able to work some of those things in and just kind of relax and ease your mind off the track. And I'll tell you guys what, by midweek to late that next week after a few days off, that's when the engine starts firing up again. They're getting that motivation back in the mindset. They're ready for the next goal. They've set the things, and by that time, honestly, they probably had a couple too many little treats, or just eating different food made them feel like, whoa, this is not right, this is not good, I want to get back on track. And that's when you can really start to now move into that next phase, which is either way, it's going to be an improvement phase, it's going to be a prep phase. It's going to be one of those two phases where you are now setting that new goal and you are on target for it. So let's cover more specifically into the actual training and the actual nutrition that follows a competition and what you should be doing right after this break. So if you didn't check out my free trial yet, seriously do it. I can show you how to do all this. I know I've already spilled so much info on you just in this few 10 minutes at the start of this video, but there's more coming. I can show you how to do all this kind of stuff too in that coaching trial. You can work with me or one of my awesome coaches. Check it out for free. Come on, now do it, teamflex.com. All right, let's roll into actual training nutrition specifics here. All right, so if you've done everything I've set up to now, you took a little bit of a break, you got your feedback, and you also have your new game plan, your new goal. If you have these three things, you're ready for the next phase now. All right, so you're moving now again into either an improvement season phase, which is basically dedicated towards making the improvements needed. This is for if, you know, the judges say you need more muscle, you need to do this, you need to build more of that. Well, that's an improvement phase. You're not going to do that in a prep phase, so you need to do it in an improvement phase, and that becomes the goal. You may have gotten, you know, very minimal tweaks, feedback. Maybe you did really well at your show, or you're moving up the ladder. I don't know what you're doing out there, but you might have got minimal feedback that said, hey, tweak this a little bit, bring that. You might be looking at a prep a lot sooner. You might be doing another prep, backing up on the one you just did. Well, if you're in prep, either way, you got to start applying these things. You got to take the feedback you got, make those changes. It might mean your stage time between is less, but either way, it's one of these two goals. So you're either in an improvement season or you're in a prep phase. And your training and nutrition have to follow this, okay? So I'm going to give you the quick sample. I don't want to go too in-depth or we'll be here for 5 hours on this video today, but quick sample ideas for both of these scenarios. If you're going into an improvement season phase, here's what you want to do. You want to start to do what is called a reverse diet. This is with your nutrition, okay? A lot of competitors jump their calories up very high post-comp, and that's why you gain a lot of weight. What you have to understand is you've been dieting, you've been doing cardio, you've been in these deficits for such a long period of time on your prep that you've actually slowed your metabolic rate. This happens no matter what, all right? Whatever diet calories you're on, your body will eventually adjust to that. It'll adjust to the activity, it'll adjust to all that. And after prep, people do this where they say, you know what? I'm done. No cardio, no more cardio. It's out of there if you were doing cardio, and I'm getting my food back up. I'm doing my calories. And they add 500, 600, 1,000 calories to the calories they were on for that diet. Well, that guarantees you, ladies and gents out there, you're going to gain body fat very quickly, okay? You're going to gain a lot of body fat fast. That's why you see sometimes competitors just blow up, can't even recognize it. You're like, who is that? How did that happen? That becomes a big problem for people that don't do a reverse diet. Now, a reverse diet, let me tell you what it is. I've done other videos on this channel, so subscribe if you haven't yet, because you can check those out when they come out all the time. We're doing 5 awesome shows every week. But reverse diet basically is a strategic reversing of the diet. So as you diet down, you know, you gradually drop your calories more, you might add in more activity, all that stuff. Well, what we do is we then reverse that process. We take you and we say, all right, so here's the macros. We got carbs, we got proteins, we got fats, we got all this. We want to start pulling those up slowly, let your body adjust, and if we're doing cardio, we want to start tapering that down. And we want to get you into a spot where now we're raising your calories and you're boosting your metabolism, your body's meeting that demand, and you're in a really good spot to, you know, end up doing some serious damage on stage later because you're not going to gain a lot of body fat. It's just a better way to do a post-prep diet. It's a better way to do that. You know, why would you want to blow up and gain a bunch of body fat that you're just going to have to cut off later? If you do a reverse diet correctly, you can successfully boost your metabolic rate, actually boost your metabolism, and actually put on very minimal amounts of body fat while still getting the improvements needed for the muscle growth, etc. All right, so reverse diet's very hard to do on your own. I wouldn't suggest trying to gamble with that. Get yourself a coach, get somebody that knows what they're doing with that, because this process becomes extremely critical. And again, this is something you want to move into doing about 5 days after your comp, a week after your comp. Depends on how long you're taking a break. Okay, so that's what you want to do with your reverse diet. Training wise, pretty simple right here. For improvement season training, you got to start making those improvements. That's it. If they say build more shoulders, start building more shoulders. If they say build your glutes better, start building your glutes better. Get back on a training, start raising those calories, and really focusing on making those muscle gains, those improvements, whatever they were. All right. So that's the situation. If you're an improvement season competitor going into improvement season, you'll find a show later. Those of you that are going straight to another prep, or you already, some people line up 2-3 shows and span of a few months, they want to hit a bunch, whatever. Well, here's what you want to do now. You got to still take that feedback. You got to still apply it. You got to figure out what you need to tweak with the diet and what you need to tweak with the training to actually do better on stage, okay? So right now, we're at the end of the year. There's already shows that are 12 weeks out from the time I'm making this video. This is for you. If you're in prep mode, you got to be in prep mode, all right? So this means you're probably not doing a reverse diet at this point. It's not often you go to shows, no matter what division you are, and judges say, hey, you actually could put some more body fat on. That can happen rarely in bikini and things like that, but in reality, it does not happen all that often. If you've been training, you've been doing all that right up until this point, then it's not likely that's going to be your feedback, all right? So you got to stay in your diet form. You got to stay in your tip-top shape, and if the judges want you leaner, you tighten it up. They want you to, for some reason, put on a little more, well, you put on a little bit more. Either way, in an improvement phase right here, you're not going to make a lot of muscle gains. You can't do it. You can't do it in, not an improvement phase, my bad, in a prep phase. You really can't make the muscle gains in a prep phase because your calories just don't support it. You can train really hard and you can do a lot and you can actually look like you made muscle gains because of lowering your body fat, but realistically you only are going to build muscles in a surplus, okay? So you can't do that on a prep. So if you're going into another show, you got 12 weeks out right now, you got another show, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you are tweaking that diet to maintain as much muscle as possible while achieving the right level of conditioning. Conditioning being how lean you are. This is different for every person, every division, and your feedback, all right? So make sure you know that. For training, it's the same gig. You might need to add more cardio. You might need to take down some cardio. You might need to adjust the exercise you got going to focus on more things. Those things become big factors for figuring out what you need to do, especially in this prep phase or this improvement phase. And I'm going to tell you more right after this break. Alright, so we just kind of wrapped up those two situations. If you're doing improvement, if you're doing prep, those are the only two options you have right now. It's the end of 2020, ladies and gents. We're moving into 2021 season. It's going to be awesome, exciting. I cannot wait. And here we are already training. A lot of my competitors training. We train 365, and this is what I want to tell you right now. If you're out there, you're considering competing, or you had a good season this year, you didn't have the season you wanted this year, you want to do better next year, whatever it is, now is the time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if it's December 15th and your show is in July. Get yourself on the mental track now to be goal focused forward. Don't wait for January. Don't do the New Year's resolution thing people do. Get yourself focused now. Focus forward on that goal and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and what you will inevitably do if you do that. If you set up this whole thing that I just gave you guys, if you literally sat down, you thought about your goals, you got your judges' feedback, you took a little bit of a break, and now you're either in your reverse diet in your training program for improvement season or in your diet and your training program for another show. It is time to stay on track and focus with your goals. If you do all that, you're going to be already 90% there. Now you just got to do the things, right? That's the easy part. Figuring out the plan, figuring out the map, and doing all those become the harder part. And now is the time to get on track. Get yourself on the right program. Get yourself with the right coach. Get yourself going where you need to be going to make the most out of next season, next year, you guys. The season went extra long this year. Normally, we're not ending the season in December. Olympia is literally this week. Normally, Olympia happens in September, so No surprise, this year's been different for competitions. This year's been different for the whole damn world. But if you get yourself on track now, you get yourself focused, you start putting into your mind what you're going to be doing, and you keep that capacity going forward, you keep focused on the goal, you're going to be unstoppable next season. So that's really what I wanted to make this video for today. Give you guys two simple situations that are really the only two situations that happen for anybody post a competition. How are you going to be your best? How are you going to make the most out of it? How are you going to come out next year and, accomplish everything you want to do? It starts today. It starts right now. It starts with getting this done, all right? So if you thought this video was helpful to you in any way, please subscribe. And as always, check out my free coaching trial. You guys, we offer our training programs, our coaching that we do, me and my team of coaches, where we have, obviously all kinds of different athletes all around the world doing great at competitions, everything else, doing all the procedures I just talked about in this video. You can try it for free at teamfflex.com. Check that out. Seriously, don't miss it. And if this was helpful to you in any way and you think, it could be helpful for your competitor friends or anyone else, please share it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for being here. Coach Rye is out.